Well, hello, gang. Welcome in and a good afternoon. It's 12:04. Murphy Show on the radio, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love this job for a lot of reasons, one of which is that I get to hear different things in my headphones every day that I come in. But I'm not here to complain as I begin the show. I'm here to tell you it's episode 299. I love what I do. I do love what I do because I get to communicate with you on a day-to-day basis for at least 3 hours, sometimes more, from noon until 3 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. If you're just joining us, a newbie in the audience, we host gatherings here from time to time and discuss the issues of the day, things that you know about, that you want to talk about, things that you might not know about that might pique interest in you. We'll discuss them all until 3 o'clock when we are legally required to hand off the reins to The Drive with Brian Wilson. Thursday, March 16, 2023. Some of our first hour will be fun, talking about some of the activities happening tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't know if you know, is a great day of celebration for the United States of America. We take any good opportunity to go pitch a good drunk. And that's what we're doing tomorrow, for it is St. Patrick's Day. In all seriousness, we'll have someone on to talk about some of the proceedings happening in Nashville, Tennessee. For those that want to know, there's lots of things going down tomorrow, especially considering that St. Patty's Day is on a Friday. So we're excited about that. That's happening at 12:35 today. Our normal visit with Representative Scott Sapicki. There's some activity on the third grade retention bill that we'll talk about with Scott, amongst other things. And then we will have a brand new guest to the show, someone that I've never had an opportunity to talk with publicly, but he has an interesting piece of legislation that's getting mischaracterized around the United States with regard to religious liberty and marriage. Monty Fritz will join us via phone at 2:05 this afternoon. You're always welcome to join us on the phones at 615-737-9986. Is the Talk TV up? Because if the Talk TV is up, you're about to watch me start disrobing. For whatever reason, it is blazing hot in here. I don't know why, but it is. It shouldn't be. It's wonderful outside. Can we do the show outside?
You agreed that once we started doing this broadcast thing, that you would do close when you broadcasted.
I understand
but that was the title of the show yesterday.
I might have to rescind that agreement. I believe that there's been a contractual violation in said agreement because I said that we could not have extremes in heat or cold as it might cause sweating or shrinkage. What? It's true.
I was in the pool.
I was drinking. Anyway, so we'll get into St. Patrick's Day at 12:35. Sapicki and Fritz coming up later on. I've got an update for you on a number of different stories, some local, some state, and some national. The San Francisco reparations movement has gained steam to the point where they might actually do this thing. They might actually attempt to give every resident claiming that they are black or African-American, I guess. I don't know what distinctions they're making between the two. But they may be giving each resident that has claimed to be a person of color that lives in the city of San Francisco, despite the fact that California was never a slave state, they're preparing to give them reparations. We'll talk about that today. On the political front, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump seem to have hit a nerve amongst the war hawks in Washington, D.C. with regard to Ukraine. Specifically, Ron DeSantis characterizing what happened and is happening between Ukraine and Russia as a territorial dispute has taken on what else is it? I mean, what do you want? I mean, I understand that Russia invaded the nation of Ukraine, that Ukraine was acknowledged and recognized by the vast majority of the world. I understand the nature of this, and I understand who the aggressor is here. But he is, in the most technical sense, correct. We'll discuss that on the show today. I have something to say about homeless and panhandling in Nashville, Tennessee, and beyond. Alabama has an interesting case study in what might be able to be done with regard to panhandling on street corners, especially something that I've noticed happens quite a bit across the Nashville metro area. There's an update on the Lieutenant Governor McNally story, as predicted by me, by the way. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest bear in the room. I'm just saying when I make these predictions and they come true, I guess I have to tell you that I did. That's the way that we do it on talk radio, right? When you predict things correctly, you ring the bell and you howl about it. When you predict things, I mean, I'm not absolving myself, by the way. I do that. I'm talking about me. If I predict something, and I'll tell you, write this down, put it in a sealed envelope, and put the date on there, and you'll open it up later, and you'll see Murphy was right. We play a song, as a matter of fact. If I'm right, you hear this. Wait a minute, we should be playing this right now because I was right. Murphy was right. Murphy was right. As predicted. Cut it. Now, see, when you cut, you got to cut it. When I do cut it, you got to cut it. Now, start it over again. We're going to try it one more time. All right, ready? I was right about something. Okay, cut it. Stop. Let's do it again. Let's start again. Let's try this one more time. I was right about something. Right, Murphy was right. Murphy was right. Murphy was right. Jump. That's what I like. That gives me great pleasure. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally decided in the aftermath of the expose on some of his Instagram activity that he would shut down his Instagram page. I predicted earlier this week that that would not work legally. You cannot create, as a public official, a public page and then at a time of your choosing decide to make it a private page after having been a public page, mainly because the people that already follow you will continue to be able to follow you in the private page side, and you're not giving the rest of the public an opportunity to see what the hell's going on there. And that's impermissible because you're picking winners and losers at that point. This really has nothing to do with Randy McNally and his heart emojis and his fire, fool, fire. Nothing to do with him in that regard. Just has everything to do with public access. You can't pick winners and losers when it comes to public access. And I predicted this earlier in the week, and now Randy McNally has brought his Instagram page down completely, although his Twitter page and other social media platforms remain open for use to the general public. Who knows where this goes? I understand, and I heard Ken Weaver talking about it earlier this morning on Nashville's Morning. Well, I guess this started on Nashville's Morning News, but I heard it during Del Giorno show. I think it was 11:30, where a lawmaker is now calling for McNally to step down as lieutenant governor, something that I've already done. I think the people of his district can decide for themselves where they want the chips to fall on this. But being lieutenant governor is an honor to be selected by the rest of the body of the Senate to represent the state of Tennessee. And in the case of, God forbid, the governor not being able to perform his duties, you are prepared to step up to that level and become the governor of the state of Tennessee. And I think that should go to someone else at this point. That's just my take on it. I ain't hurting on you or hating on you if your take is something a little bit different. And then that leads us to the latest update on Andy Ogles. So you may have heard, I think Dan covered this morning on Nashville's Morning News. We will cover it a little more at length in the 1 o'clock hour. There's a news story presented by Phil Williams of News Channel 5 involving Andy, the 5th Congressional District congressman, a freshman congressman. And let me promise you something. This is as sensitive as it gets. And I understand that emotions run high when you talk about the loss of a loved one, and especially the loss of a child. My grandpa told me, my grandfather lost both of his children before he passed away. My granddad is the finest man I've ever known. He's the finest, most hardworking, smartest person I've ever met or I ever will meet. And my uncle died before I was born. He died at the age of 18 in 1968 car accident. My mother passed away in 2003 when she was 53. My granddad died in 2015. My grandfather did not, to my memory, to my knowledge, ever talk about my Uncle Clyde in any way relating to his death when I was a kid or when I was a young adult. After my mother died, in 2003. After the services, my grandfather, who never really showed a lot of emotion in regard to sadness or tears, there wasn't a lot of that out of my grandfather. There was a lot of, he had a hair trigger when I was younger in terms of temper. And he was, as he got older, a very jovial man. He was always quick with a joke. But he rarely emoted publicly in that fashion, as was the way for most people of his generation. He was a Depression-era baby, born in 1929. But in the days that followed my mother's passing, I asked him if he was doing okay. I remember this. That was in his living room on Earl Street in Thompson, Georgia, and I asked him if he was okay. Are you doing all right, Pa? And he said, it's not natural to outlive your children. And he had lost both of his. And the simplicity and complexity of that statement, the simultaneous simplicity and complexity of that statement, has always struck me and stuck with me. It is not natural to outlive your children. Obviously, it's not. So I understand, I think, as best I can, not having children myself and not having gone through it, I can understand the nature of Andy Ogles and his wife losing a child. I did not know that Andy Ogles had lost a child. So obviously the story itself is incredibly sensitive because you're talking about somebody that lost their child. However, I do not believe that that is the public thrust of this story. And were it only that, I would not be talking about it. And I understand already, I'm completely sure that many of Congressman Ogles' supporters are already claiming that I'm clamoring on this because of our past and all of that. And all I can tell you is it is not the case. But I am vehemently defensive of charity and the utmost integrity when it comes to the use of individuals' money for charitable work. So in the aftermath, the story goes by Phil Williams, in the aftermath of the tragedy of Andy and his wife's child being born stillborn, they developed a fund on GoFundMe, and the purpose of that fund was to create a place within a memorial gardens or a cemetery where they could offer plots, small burial plots for other families who had lost stillborn children, and they could be together with Lincoln, to include benches and a statue of Jesus, as the description was read these many years ago. 9 years, I guess it is now. And Andy was able to raise, Congressman Ogles was able to raise about $25,000, just less than $25,000, his stated goal. Well, that property or that plot, that area, Lincoln's Place, as he called it, never happened. And now Congressman Ogles acknowledges that it never happened because he says that it would have cost too much money and he did not raise enough money to make it a reality. And so Phil Williams of News Channel 5 is questioning where the rest of the charitable donations went. There are rules with regard to GoFundMe. You can't raise money saying you're going to do one thing with it and then not do that thing with it. And so there are questions that have been raised. Were Andy Ogles taking my advice? Not that he would, but I would suggest just simply relate to your constituents in the 5th Congressional District the good and the positive that came out of those charitable donations. That's all you have to do. You don't have to tell people who benefited from it. There are privacy considerations, but just, let us know. Based on your memory of the events, the individuals that you were able to help as a result of the collection of that $24,000 or thereabouts. the question has been asked, and all it need be is answered. Considering that it is a charitable fund, and considering that the original stated purpose of the fund did not actually happen, and the money was not returned to the people that you raised it from, I consider it to be a valid question, and obviously a very sensitive one. Many people are calling it a hit piece by Phil Williams of News Channel 5, and that's, to me, neither here nor there. It is what it is. The allegation, the insinuation within the story is that, well, the question was, where did the money go? That's my question, and who benefited from the money that was raised. The insinuation that some are extrapolating from the question is that the money was never went to a charitable cause. And I think that's a step way too far in all of this. But as a general rule, I would say this. And once again, if Congressman Ogles was taking advice from me, well, he's not, but were he, I would say this. It is never a good look when a reporter is badgering you with questions, and this is broadly for any politician or wannabe politician. It is never a good look when a reporter has a camera and they're badgering you with questions to get into your vehicle and refuse to say anything and walk away from the questions. I think it might have been a better look to stop and say, Phil, I'm not going to answer anything on a street in downtown Franklin or wherever they were. But what I will do is tell you this. If you contact my scheduler, we'll find a time where you and I can sit down and we can have a one-on-one discussion about all of this. But we're not going to do this on a street when I'm trying to get in my truck and get to my next appointment. Thank you very much for your time. That's probably a better look. That said, that is the story as it exists. I don't have a lot more to say about it except that I think to his constituents and to the people that actually gave the money back in the day, if it did not ultimately go toward its stated purpose, then you can judge for yourself whether or not Congressman Ogles owes the people that gave that money an explanation as to where exactly it went. I think it's a reasonable request considering the question has come up, albeit from an individual that has been a bit aggressive against the congressman over the last couple of months. It's 12:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It can be hard when it comes to heating and air conditioning because these systems are so complex now. It's hard to find someone that you can trust, and I've found that person in Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. And now is the time. Jeff wants to implore you, just make the call. Remember the old Andy Griffith episode? Call the man. Andy, call the man. Well, you should call the man. And the man is Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling of Tennessee has the best value around on a maintenance call for your AC, which will certainly spruce it up for the spring. Make sure you don't smell that smell when you turn it on. And also make sure that you're running as efficiently as possible coming up for the summertime months. They will offer you a flat fee of $125, never more than $125 on a maintenance call. That does not matter. It does not matter how many units you have. And more often than not, if it's $125, we're talking about multiple units in your home, but mostly it's going to land less than that. Now, at some point, you have to replace. It's just a fact of life that you're going to outlive that AC unit. And if it comes down to it, you can trust that Jeff will tell you when the time is. And they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an elite pro partner with Rheem. Give them a call today at 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the things you hear me talk about frequently on my radio show that has been going for over 20 years in the Nashville market is that annuity sales are not necessarily a great thing for the end investor. Now, if you go to an investment firm, a lot of times you'll get that. The first thing that they recommend, an annuity. Banks and investment firms recommend these for one really good reason. And many times that reason isn't the best thing for you. It's commissions. It's a huge moneymaker for the investing industry. This is why I think it's so important that when you work with an investment advisor, that they not be paid on commission. It creates a huge conflict because it creates an incentive to sell you things that may not be in your best interest. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. We don't do anything on commissions. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you, thank you for being around with us. Coming up in a couple of minutes after the bottom of the hour, we'll share some headlines with you or not. I don't know exactly how we're doing that, but we will share with you a very exciting event happening in Nashville tomorrow, the Music City Irish Fest, which is very exciting. It's St. Paddy's Day tomorrow. I don't know if you noticed. And we'll talk with Brenda Willis about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. You on the phone, 615-737-9986. A lot of reaction from the super texters regarding our relating of the story regarding Andy Ogles and this tragedy in his life, resulting in a stillborn child, how sad that is, and then the resulting charitable effort that he engaged in to build a special place for other kids and to help out other families by giving them a place to lay their stillborn children to rest. I think Williamson Memorial Gardens was the location originally designated. Here's my point. The reason that I bring it up, because some are questioning, they're saying, oh, Phil Williams hates Andy and all that. None of that matters to me. The question is simple. If you boil it down, Andy raised money through GoFundMe for a stated purpose. He stated that purpose very clearly on the site where he raised the money. And that purpose never came to fruition. And people are questioning what happened to the charitable donations. And Andy has responded in a statement saying that it went to expenses for other families, etc. And you have to decide whether Andy's word on this subject is good enough for you or if you would like some sort of additional verification. Some people, like Phil Williams, and frankly, I think it would be fairly easy to do. I'm not saying that anybody has to do anything in this situation. But I would think if I take Andy at his word, it would be pretty easy to sit down and, well, I want to say easy because of the nature of the conversation, but I will say that if you are looking for verification, I don't think you would need to look very far in order to get it. On the other side, the accusation is serious. I'm not making the accusation. I would dare say that Phil Williams, although he's kind of throwing a rock and hiding his hand here, I would say that he's not claiming to make an accusation either. But the insinuation is that they were raising money for a particular purpose, and for whatever reason, that never came to fruition. And so what did you do with the money? Did you keep it? Or did you use it for other charitable efforts? And if so, would you mind letting us know what those are? I don't know that that's completely out of bounds, because the alternative is fraud. That's a very serious charge. The insinuation is that Congressman Andy Ogles defrauded people who gave to his charitable fund. I'm not making that accusation. I'm reporting that Phil Williams apparently is. So I'll leave it there. And whether he decides to respond to it is up to him. So there's that. 615-737-9986. Happier things when we return. It's 12:30. The Music City Irish Fest is tomorrow. My last name is Murphy, so I'm all in. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and about a month after I came to Nashville in December of 2021, I started seeking out a chiropractic care specialist, and I found one at the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. And luckily, the Dr. Gill Center had already been a part of the Super Talk family for many, many years, and has been a part of the fabric of Nashville for many, many years as well. As a matter of fact, Dr. Gill was one of the first to bring some of the modern technologies that we now take for granted to Middle Tennessee, like the spinal decompression is a great example. And I used that to alleviate pain in my upper neck. I didn't realize where the pain was coming from until I was examined by Dr. Wendy, and she gave me the full diagnosis. And right now, if you call this number and schedule an appointment for $23 in celebration of 2023, you'll get a complete examination, full x-rays. They'll go over those x-rays sitting right with you in the doctor's office at the time of your examination, and then they can move forward with a prescription for success. And that prescription does not involve pain pills, and it certainly doesn't involve surgery. It involves pain relief through the most modern techniques like Class 5 lasers, red light therapy, and the aforementioned spinal decompression. So make the call that so many others have made to the Dr. Gill Center, 615-882-4838, 882-4838. It's the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1235. All right, we'll continue political talk in a moment. I have more on the Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump statements regarding Ukraine, and it seems to have hit a nerve out of Washington, D.C., and this is kind of Republican on Republican violence. We'll talk about that. And there is a bill circulating through the General Assembly in the state of Tennessee that's interesting because it pits gun ownership rights against property ownership rights, and this is always an interesting conversation. You have a right to keep and carry per the Second Amendment of the Constitution. However, when you go on someone's private property, they have a right to tell you not to bring your gun on their private property. Well, there's a bill that addresses this issue in front of the General Assembly, and we'll talk about that at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Right now, it is my pleasure to welcome Brenda Willis to the show. She is in charge of the Music City Irish Fest, which is happening all day tomorrow, and if you're not a part of it, you're missing out. Brenda, thank you for stopping by. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Can I wish you an early happy St. Patrick's Day?
Of course you can. You can wish me happy St. Patrick's Day every day of the year.
Yes, with the name Murphy. Yes, I think I can.
Well, tell me just how you became involved in Music City. I will get into all of the details and all of this, but how did you become involved in this? Just heritage?
Technically heritage, but I didn't know about my heritage.
Yeah?
I have a bunch of kids. You probably know that.
Mm-hmm.
12 kids. And we started Irish dancing. We saw Riverdance. What was this phenomenon back in 1996? And then we thought, oh my gosh, we got to get our kids dancing like
You
this.
didn't buy Celtic Women, did you? Remember that? Remember the Celtic Women?
Yes.
I got suckered in on that.
Yes, it started with Riverdance for us, though. And I remember sitting there watching it, and I was like, what am I watching? I was like, was this a play? Is this a story? What is this? I don't even know. And it was this unbelievable promotion of Irish culture that was so beautiful.
Michael
Flatley.
There you go. And he eventually left and started doing Lord of the Dance, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm down. I'm down with that. Okay.
Yep.
And so that kind of began the genesis of exploration of history and heritage. And look, anybody that understands the Irish culture knows that it's a lot more than just green beer and saying Faith and Begorra.
It is not green beer. You need to understand. Green beer has nothing to do with Irish culture whatsoever, and it is completely banned from my festival. No green beer.
Good for you.
It's Guinness. It's Jameson. It's Five Farms. It's Slane Irish whiskey. It's the real stuff.
I'd like to go with can I go with a Smithwick? I mean, is that okay with you?
Yes, that's fine. That's
okay.
fine.
All right. Well,
there's all kinds of good alcoholic beverages.
I love the fact
Irish.
that you're wagging your finger because America takes these celebrations and they try to Americanize them in their own. I mean, we do it with Cinco. I have a suggestion that everything that we do is surrounded about how we can take a celebration from someone else's culture and get drunk. Right?
I think that's what Americans do.
That's what we do. Cinco de Mayo, whatever it might be. Even our own celebrations like July 4th, that's what it becomes.
I know.
So talk to me about Music City Irish Fest. When does it start?
So it starts actually tonight, technically.
Mm-hmm.
We have 5 Irish artists that are going to be on the Grand Ole Opry. So we have the first one. All 5 are making their debut on the Grand Ole Opry in the next 3 days. So we have our first one, Shane Hennessy, tonight. He's going to be on Opry Country Classics with Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow on St. Patrick's Day, we have a wonderful fiddle player named Eileen Ivers and her band. She was one of the fiddle players in Riverdance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she was the one I saw, but anyway, she's fabulous. She will be collaborating with Ricky Skaggs on the Opry tomorrow. We have a gentleman named Rory Makem, and he will be collaborating with Ron Block from Alison Krauss and Union Station. And then on Saturday, we have 2 more artists, Jig Jam, which is, believe it or not, a bluegrass band out of Ireland, and Claire Cunningham, who will be collaborating with Steve Earle.
A lot, you think about it, a lot of the music that comes out of Ireland really, really reminiscent of bluegrass. I mean, there's a lot of connective tissue there. I mean, for me, I don't know. You're looking at me funny, Brenda. Am I talking crazy?
You're right. It all comes from there. So my kids were taking some bluegrass fiddle lessons, and I had no clue. And she started teaching them like a hornpipe or something. And I wait, that's Irish. And she's like, no, this is strictly bluegrass. I'm like, no, this is Irish. And I started doing the research. There's this amazing book out there. There's probably several, but this one called The Wayfaring Strangers, written by Fiona Ritchie and Doug Orr. And it traces the history of the Irish and Celtic peoples coming over here, bringing their music and their dance. I mean, have you seen square dancing?
Mhm.
Have you seen Irish dancing?
Well, buck dancing. So I was going to bring up
Clogging, all
buck
of it.
dancing and river dance is the same thing.
No, they're not, but they're very closely related.
To me, you know.
Cousins.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So, no, really, that is the foundational history and heritage of bluegrass, which obviously breathed into country. And so, really, my tagline for this whole thing is taking country back to its roots.
That's pretty cool. So tell me what happens tomorrow and where people can find action tomorrow outside of the Grand Ole Opry events. And obviously, we know where that is.
Yes.
What happens tomorrow?
So right outside the front door of the Grand Ole Opry is the Grand Ole Opry Plaza. Gorgeous venue. I'd always come in the back door. I had never seen the front, but it is a gorgeous venue. And tomorrow we're going to have a stage and sound and dancers and musicians and food and drink, real, authentic drink, and Irish wolfhounds and shopping. Like if you've never worn a kilt.
What, Irish wolfhounds for sale?
No, just
Well,
to
why
visit.
not?
Because they're not for sale.
I kind of want to buy one. I have a friend that has an Irish wolfhound, and I'm obsessed with large dogs because I have a half Great Dane.
Tell your friend to bring their Irish wolfhounds around.
Well,
They're
I
very
will.
welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So from noon until 10 p.m., we're going to have all this amazing, authentic Irish culture going on the Opry Plaza for free. No charge. You don't have to have an Opry ticket to get in. You just come in, enjoy, park over there in the Opry Mills parking lot near Dave & Buster's, and come on over.
Well, that sounds that's incredible. So, I mean, and it's all happening located right there on the plaza.
Right on the plaza.
So it's just one stop, and there you go.
Yes. All day St. Patrick's Day, well, noon to 10 p.m., and the same on Saturday. So 17th and 18th, noon to 10 p.m. on the Opry Plaza for free.
What kind of musical acts, musical guests, does anybody come to mind that you want us to gravitate to if we're out on the plaza? You said that music's going on out there? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. So we actually wanted to bring the students in. So I brought in a bunch of students from Belfast. They're college students, and some of them are singer-songwriters, and then some of them are traditional players. And so you'll see uilleann pipes, and you'll see fiddles, and you'll see Irish penny whistles, a lot of traditional things. We also have this amazing MC. His name is Eamon de Cogan, and he's a Cayley caller.
Eamon de Cogan.
Eamon de Cogan from Cork. From Cork.
Eamon de Cogan from Cork.
Hopefully he's listening on the radio right now. He'll be cracking up.
Well, yeah, he's like, who's the schmuck with the fake Irish
But
accent?
he will get you dancing, I promise. And don't not come because you don't want to dance. He is the most amazing Cayley caller. In fact, I think at one point his brother had the Guinness World Records for the largest Irish Cayley in the world or something. But he's sort of taken up the mantle there, and he's going to be calling Cayleys out there. So you'll hear authentic music and the authentic instruments. I know there's going to be a bowron. What's a bowron? Do you have any clue what
A baron?
A bowron.
A baron?
Yeah.
I don't.
It's an Irish drum.
Oh, that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Lie. So traditional Irish instruments, traditional Irish dancing, traditional Irish singing. And you know what? Whatever you have in your head about that, just get rid of that because it's very
No, see, I
different
dig
than-
it. And I didn't know what to expect. I came into this conversation with you, Brenda, blind because I
Meaning
didn't know.
you didn't do your homework.
Well, no, of course. I never. Why would I start now? But I love where you're going with this because you're kind of trying to break down. I mean, anybody can go to a bar on St. Patrick's Day where they put up some green shamrocks and they're serving some green beer, or they're have a Guinness special rolling, and they call it a St. Patrick's Day celebration, and it's really not.
Exactly.
This sounds like you're really focusing in on an authentic experience, which is nice. Now, that includes food.
Yes.
Boy, the Irish don't have very good food.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Oh, my goodness. You've never had Guinness stew?
I most certainly have.
It's delicious.
It's not.
Fish and chips.
You know what?
Fish and chips.
Well, fish and chips is fish and chips. It's
shepherd's pie.
It's shepherd's pie. It's not very good either.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
Shame on you.
I-
Do you not like potatoes?
Look, I'm just well.
potatoes?
I mean,
Like-
potatoes are filler, right?
No. They're the main course in Ireland.
I understand that because they didn't have any food. That's all they had.
Like, you could go to an Irish anything, anywhere in Ireland, and there'll be 3 different kinds of potatoes in every meal.
Correct.
You can get fries, you can get mashed potatoes, you can get boiled potatoes, you can get baked potatoes, you can get every single kind of potato God ever created in one meal in Ireland.
Wasn't Jonathan Swift Ireland? What,
Yes.
The
He was the dean of St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Right? I mean, and he wrote A Modest Proposal, right?
He wrote Gulliver's Travels, too.
But do you remember A Modest Proposal had everything to do with the Irish potato famine?
Yes.
And he said, well, we're for those who don't know, look this up. You need to read this book. Or it's not even a book. It's like an essay. It is the first example given in English literature of satire, modern satire.
Right.
And it is Jonathan Swift saying, well, look, we got two issues going on. We got too little food and too many babies. We're having too many kids, and we got a potato famine going on. So I'm just suggesting maybe we eat the babies.
Oh, my God.
It's fabulous. Just read it. You'll love it. Now, back to the food. I kid because I love.
Yes.
But it's just a different style of eating.
All right, well, here's the deal. I worked with the Opry, and they're having their food truck out there, and they created some original recipes for this event. So they decided to go, instead of the shepherd's pie, they decided to do a hot chicken shepherd's pie.
Well, now you're talking.
Now, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
That is kind of cool. I don't know how that works.
They're going to do a Guinness burger with sautéed mushrooms and onions on it.
I get that.
They are going to do the traditional fish and chips, of course.
Yeah, no doubt. You have to.
So those are at least 3 things that I know that they're doing very special.
How many times have you been to Ireland?
Somewhere between 25 and 30.
Wow. I mean, you go over with different groups, and you offer kind of a tour-like experience over there, don't you?
I work for a company called Enrichment Travel Services, and I hold down the Nashville office in my house of Enrichment Travel Services. And yeah, in fact, we have a tour going in April with Devin O'Day, and then Music City Irish Fest offers a tour every year. And so we are launching our new tour for 2024 with Eamon DeCogan, which is our MC and Kaylee Collar. That will be here, so you can meet him, and then you can go to Ireland with him next year.
That's pretty cool. What's your favorite area in Ireland? I mean, obviously, and I don't know a lot about Ireland. I've only been once, but Dublin is just incredible. But it's a city.
It is, yeah. I'm not a city girl at all. I live out in the country here, and I really love the countryside in Ireland. My favorite place is Donegal. It's it's not in Northern Ireland, but it's the northernmost part of the Republic of Ireland. It's very wild, just incredible. Like, you've probably heard of the Cliffs of Moher. Lovely, amazing. But Slieve League, which is up in Donegal, even more wild, and just the sheep running around, and the weather patterns up there, and just the wildness of it is just incredible. I really love Donegal.
Well, I know that my wife is listening, and she absolutely adores when I tell my stories about going to Ireland, because it was right before we got engaged. And so it's like one of those things where she just, every time I start at a party, she rolls her eyes and just walks away, because she's heard the stories 1.5 million times.
Have you brought her to Ireland?
No, but we need to go. That's where I'm going with that. We need to make this happen.
Yes. Well, you have a platform, and so you and your wife come to Ireland, and then you can bring all these listeners with you.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll work this out. We'll go in the fall or something. Who knows?
We can go. We can hang out, or we can do something like play golf if you like that.
I do dig that. So on O'Connell Street, I remember this from, when was it? 2002. So 21 years ago now. But I remember being struck by the incredible history of Ireland. When I stood in front of I guess it was the post office, and you can see the bullet holes in the post office through the Revolution, 1917, 1918, something around in there. Yeah. The incredible rich history, and then flash to the next day where I'm standing there and I'm watching what was a modern revolution right there on the right there on the streets of O'Connell Street. And then you walk down and you go to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and you go down in the catacombs of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and you see a king that was buried, and I'll get all of this wrong, but it was like 1180.
That was probably at Christ Church Cathedral, down in the crypt underneath.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I remember
they're just up the street from each other.
I might have my memory wrong, but what struck me was that the king that was laid to rest in that tomb was laid to rest. A longer time passed before the creation of the United States of America than has passed since. So he has been at rest in that cathedral for longer than the United States has existed. And it gives you a sense of how young our country is in the grand scheme of things, and how much older the nations in Europe, and particularly Ireland, England, et cetera, are. And it just really gives you a sense of getting that's truly getting back to our roots, because we come from all of that.
Yeah. Did you go to the pub in Dublin called the Brazen Head?
Not to my memory.
I think it's up on the wall. I think it was opened in 1198.
Well, I would remember that.
1198.
I don't remember. I'll be honest with you, Brenda. I don't remember a lot. I mean, I was in my 20s. I don't remember a tremendous amount about being in Ireland.
Maybe because you were drinking the whole time?
Man, I remember Temple Bar. I remember being in that general vicinity quite a bit. I remember buying a hat at a hattery. I was very impressed with my driving cap. I bought it at a hattery. Still have it. Never wear it, but I still have it. So
Well, I want to tell you why I do this authentically. So I have a sponsor, Tourism Ireland, Ireland.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they are all about promoting authentic Irish culture around the world. And I love working with them because they have a way of bringing people back to their heritage, or even if you don't have the heritage, just discovering what Irish culture is truly.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so deep and so rich. You just talked about the history of it. It is so old. It's so amazing. There's different people groups that have come in and conquered that area. I mean, you hear talk about leprechauns and all kinds of things. They truly, truly have a connection to multiple people groups that have come in there, and they truly believe that there are spirits and memories of these people in the fairy world, the fairy folk there. And there's so much history and superstition.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that the holiday of Halloween came from Ireland?
I did not.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that in October.
I did not. That's cool.
We'll have to talk about that. But
Is it
much.
true there are no snakes in Ireland?
True.
Right? Because St. Patrick drove them out, right?
Well, I don't know if that's why, but I don't think.
That's the urban legend. Right?
Yes, I was actually just at that mountain where he hiked up the mountain. It's called Croagh and he hiked up there and fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. I was just there.
So tomorrow the festivities begin right at the strike of noon, outside of the Grand Ole Opry House, and then you can buy a ticket to go in to enjoy many of the musical stylings that you just described to us, or for no charge, you can avail yourself of all of the amenities to be had at the Music City Irish Fest. I can't wait to be out there.
And even if you are not Irish, you can be Irish for the day.
And I would recommend you wear some green because, just do it the way you want to do it. You don't have to be gaudy or ostentatious about it.
I was talking to one of my artists. I had him on WSM radio this morning, and he was talking to Bill Cody, and he said, because I was in the airplane and I wasn't wearing green and it was just a regular day. And this woman came up and pinched me. And he's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Don't you understand? If you're not wearing green, that you can be pinched?" He goes, "I have never heard of that in my life." And he's Irish and he never heard of that. That's one of those stupid American
the pinching thing?
Yeah.
Or the wearing of the green stuff?
No, the pinching part. He's like, "I never heard of that."
Well, I don't know about the pinching. I always would go against the grain there, and I would just dare people to pinch me, but and would intentionally not wear green on St. Patrick's Day as a result. But I was always told when I was a kid that originally it was you wear green to designate or to say to the rest of the folks that you have Irish heritage. Right, that was kind of the thing that they did.
Yeah, maybe that is why.
But then everybody started doing it.
But, you've been to Ireland. You know Johnny Cash's song, 40 Shades of Green, is really true. The green, I feel like you haven't seen green until you went to Ireland. It's
pretty incredible.
There is something
just driving from the airport
about that green that is just different than anything we have here. And so I think it's just honoring of that, people acknowledging that Ireland owns green.
Yeah, sure. All right. So tomorrow, noon. Saturday starting at noon as well?
Yes.
And really basically going all day, and you can just grab yourself a pint and enjoy yourself. And thank you for coming in and stopping by and telling us all about anything else we need to know? I
think that's it. Just come and enjoy.
Brenda, thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
There's Brenda Willis, Music City Irish Fest starting tomorrow, out right in front of the Opry, the Grand Ole Opry House at 12 noon. We'll be back in a moment. Hey, Scott Spicky's coming up right after this. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's talk for a moment about your mortgage. I know that's a heavy conversation, especially if you're considering moving and you don't know what the interest rates are going to be and you don't know if the money's going to match up with your dreams and desires. Friends, put your mind at ease. Call Accurate Mortgage Group. My friends Mike, Joe, Hino, and the rest of the crew at Accurate Mortgage. They're right on Cool Springs. They're in Cool Springs, I should say. So they can sit down with you and walk through all of the various scenarios and find out where you are and what you want, what your dreams are, what you want to accomplish. Do you want to upsize because you're a growing family? Maybe you're empty nesters and are looking to downsize. With home prices where they are and interest rates, believe it or not, coming down from their highs about 7 months ago, there is a window of opportunity for you here, and it's Accurate Mortgage to the rescue in a number of ways. One, payment reduction program. That can help buyers enjoy a lower mortgage payment for the first couple of years. It's a normal fixed rate loan. You just have lower payments for the first 2 years. This is an attraction presented by the seller to the buyer, and it's a win-win situation for both the seller and the buyer. If you're looking to consolidate and eliminate some of that high-interest credit card debt, that's a good plan. An Accurate Mortgage Group has a cash-out refinance that they want to talk to you about. These are just two of the ways that they can help. Visit Accurate Mortgage today at AccurateMTG.com. That's AccurateMTG.com. Accurate Mortgage Group is a division of Acopia, LLC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 4664, Accurate Mortgage Group.